I'm Professor Susan DeGise. This tutorial is on practice 5.6. Directions. Transpose the rhythms into the given time signature and key signature. Fill in the blanks with the correct major key. Keep all pitches, articulations, and dynamics. Okay, so this one's a little tougher because for number 1, we're switching from treble clef to bass clef, so you can't just copy all the notes down. But we're also changing the time signature from 6/8, which is usually pretty simple for students, to 6/4, which is usually a little more challenging. So I'm going to go ahead and do measure 1 for you. So first, we have in the key of E major, and we need to write in the scale degree numbers. 5, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now we're going to write these pitches down here in the bass clef. So if you don't want to use scale degree numbers, you can use pitch names, because it's going to be the same in pitch names. It's just changing clefs. So you can say B. So this B is quite high, so I'm going to put a B here. G sharp, F sharp, E, F sharp, and G sharp. Okay. Oh, it's a little tricky switching back and forth with clefs. Okay. So in 6/8, the 8th note was the division. So we see we have 3 8th notes beamed together and 3 8th notes beamed together. In 6/4, the quarter note is the division. So we're just going to write quarter notes here. We're not going to beam anything. And we're going to say this is also in E major. We're going to add our piano dynamics, and we're going to add our slur. All right. So why don't you go ahead and do the next 3 measures on your own. Pause the video and press play when you're ready. All right, so our next measure, we have B, G sharp, F sharp, E, then we have F sharp, G sharp, F sharp, G sharp. Okay, so we have 3 quarters here. Then we have a quarter, and then these 16ths become 8th notes. So we don't beam this quarter with it, right? So here, even though everything's beamed together, they're not all beamed together there. There's no dynamics in this measure, but we do have a giant slur here. All right. And then we have B, G sharp, B, and then we go to C sharp, G sharp, C sharp. These can all be quarters. And we have a slur here, and now we have a crescendo mark and a diminuendo mark. And then the last measure, we begin with B, and then G sharp, F sharp, and E. Quarter, 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 and the last note here becomes a half note, right? Because we need to double the duration of a quarter, so that actually becomes a half note. Instead of ending with an 8th rest, we end with a quarter rest. Okay, so we add our slur here, and there we go. So let's go ahead and listen to this. So the one in treble clef sounds like this. And the one in bass clef sounds like this. So exactly the same, 2 octaves apart. All right, why don't you go ahead and do number 2. For number 2, it's a little more difficult because we're switching from 6/16 to 6/8. but also we're changing keys. So maybe if you don't feel comfortable, I'll go ahead and do measure 1 right now and you can follow along. If you feel comfortable, go ahead and do the whole thing on your own. Pause the video and press play when you're ready. Okay, so the first one is in F major. And now I'm going to write in scale degrees. So we have 5, 4, 3, 2. Now my new key has 2 flats, so that's going to be B flat major. And I need to write 5, 4, 3, 2. It looks like this 5 is the highest one in this example, so I can go ahead and start my 5 up here. Then I have 4, 3, 2. So let's see how we're going to change the rhythm. When moving from 6/16 to 6/8, all the rhythms are twice as long. So this dotted eighth becomes a dotted quarter. This 16th becomes an eighth. This dotted 16th becomes a dotted eighth. And this 32nd becomes a 16th. So they're all going to have one beam because it's an eighth, dotted eighth, and a 16th. Only this one is going to have the shortened beam. And then we're going to need a dot here. All right. So now that you've started, go ahead and finish the rest of Home on the Range. Pause the video and press play when you're ready. Okay, so let's go ahead and do the scale degrees up here. We have 3, that's tied, and then we have 5, 5, 1, 1, 1, 1, 7, 1, 2. All right, so we need to rewrite these numbers down here. 1, 1, 1, 7, 1, 2. Okay, so scale degree 3 is going to be D, and that's going to be held out to a D. Then we go down to 5. So we're going to have 2 5s down here. So now let's figure out the rhythm. This is a dotted eighth. In order to make the duration twice as long, we're going to change it to a dotted quarter. That dotted quarter is tied to a quarter because this is an eighth, and what's twice as long as an eighth is a quarter. The 2 5s are 32nd notes here, so I'm going to make them into 16th notes. Scale degree 1 is B flat. It's an eighth note, so I'm going to make it into a quarter note. And I have 1, 1, 1, 7, 1. Let's figure out the rhythm. 2 32nds becomes 2 16ths. 16th, 32nd, 16th becomes 8th, 16th, 8th. So they all have one beam. This is dotted. The 16th needs a little one, and then that's it. Okay, and then the last note is scale degree 2, which is C. So I'm going to put my C here. This is a dotted eighth, so that becomes a dotted quarter. It's tied to an eighth, so that means it's tied to a quarter. This rest is a 16th rest, so my rest is going to be an eighth rest. All right, no dynamics. Let's go ahead and listen to these. So first, we're in F major. It sounds like this. And our new example in 6/8 sounds like this. So even though the time signature changes from 6/16 to 6/8, because the tempo doesn't change, the music is exactly the same, okay? Because everything is proportional. And then the key changed from F to B flat, so we transpose the pitches, but this is the way you would do this exercise. You've now completed the tutorial for practice 5.6. Thank you for watching.